All right, guys, what's up? I'm joined here with Nevin Shields. Is that right? Nevin Shields, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And if you can see his computer screen, it's a little glitchy. He's got his webcam. But, the dude's a 21-year-old kid who is grinding it out. Like this dude, I found him on a pressure washing forum that he created, and there's almost 2,000 members in there. And what got me interested in talking to him and meeting with him was that, everything he's doing, it reminded me exactly of Zig Ziglar. He has that quote out there saying that, if you help enough people get what you want, eventually you'll get what you want. And everything that you're doing there, Nevin, it's just awesome. You're providing so much value to these people that, we don't have to necessarily talk about pressure washing, but what's some of your background? Where'd you come from? And for these guys that are going to be watching this, like Nevin and I have talked for an equivalent of probably 5 minutes in our entire lives. So I don't know this guy that well. So we're just going to jump into it and talk about, what makes him tick. So how'd you get started, Nevin?
Well, I started, I guess I got my foot in the door in entrepreneurship when I was 17 years old. Because at 17, you're still in high school, you're going into your senior year in high school, and you don't really know what you want to do with your life. So one of the smartest things you can do is sit down, and whether you're 17 or 23 or however old you are, any point in your life, and just create a roadmap and say, well, where do I want to be in 10 years? Or where do I want to be in 15 years? Or 20 years or 30 years? What do I want to be doing? What do I want my work to look like? What do I want my family to look like? What do I want, if I have children, how do I want them to see me? What kind of person do I want to be? And then you just set that goal, and then you just work backwards from that goal. And for me, I knew that I didn't really want to go to college because I had started reading books like Think and Grow Rich, self-help books, and then I got into like the online game where I started learning from some guys online, some like Grant Cardone and stuff. And I realized that if I wanted to get where I wanted to go, which was I wanted to be wealthy, I wanted to live a life of freedom, I wanted to live a life, that I could live on my terms, you have to be an entrepreneur. You can't do that as an employee. Because if you're an employee, if you have a job, Robert Kiyosaki says that a job means just over broke, which means that if you stop working, you stop getting paid. And I just knew that if I want to live a great life, I can't be an employee. So I realized I had to be an entrepreneur. And I started my first business when I was 17. It was like an online drop shipping store. But I had no money, so I didn't invest in marketing or anything. And it was more of a learning experience because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just getting my feet wet. And then like as a problem would occur, then I would think about how do I solve that problem, as opposed to some people, and I think this is smart too, you learn a bunch of stuff and then you wait to apply it until you have a bunch of knowledge. But for me, it was more like, I'm just going to go do it. I'm going to fail. I'm going to learn from it. And then I basically just started my power washing business in late or early 2018 because I needed money quickly. I had like a ClickFunnels account. I had like all this online software I had to pay for, but I wasn't making enough money for my job, so I didn't have the money to pay for it. So I needed to make money immediately, and the idea that popped into my head was to just power wash houses. So I just started knocking on doors, and I borrowed a bunch of equipment, and pretty much, I started seeing success with it, so I stuck with it, and so it's gotten me pretty much to where I'm at today.
Dude, that's cool.
With that company.
And you've said a few things, and I kind of want to unpack, but now can you see me? Your screen just went black. I don't know.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I can still see you, but for some reason I cannot see my screen.
But anyway, the thing you mentioned about, well, shoot, now I forgot. But have you ever heard the saying, earning as you learn, earn as you learn?
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm just going to start this and figure it out as I go. Because I was kind of the same way. I didn't necessarily, so I went to college for 3 years, but I didn't have any idea what I was doing. It was just basically like me living the college lifestyle, wasting time and money.
Right.
And so then it got to where, like you said, I went out and I got a power washer, and I said, I'm gonna do this. I didn't know how to wash my first house, but I was, watched some YouTube videos. I'm like, how hard can this be?
Right.
All these other guys are doing it, so I'm like, let's do it. So that's how I got started. Then it's transitioned into everything, because even since then we started another guy and I started a septic pumping company. so we just went and randomly bought a septic pumping truck and got everything worked out. And then we ended up selling it and making a little bit of money on it. And then, it's involved into Christmas lights. Now my wife and we've got some real estate, but
Right.
we don't know anything. But like you said, take action and figure it out along the way. Because, if there's any guys in this group that are interested in starting a business, if you do anything that's a service related business, you don't have to have a lot of capital to get started.
No,
You were borrowing equipment, and it still worked.
Yeah, there are so many routes you could get started. I mean, you could start like knowing what I know today. I didn't know this when I first started, otherwise I would have went this route. But you could technically start like, let's say, power washing, carpet cleaning, a cleaning business or a service business without actually doing any of the work. You basically you start your own company and you become a salesman for that company. And then anytime you get work, you just subcontract it to somebody who does that kind of work, and then you keep a percentage or a little fee or whatever. So if I would have known that then, what I know now, I would have started EcoClean, but I would have went out and knocked on doors, sold the jobs, and then just hired another contractor to clean it. But I mean, that's something, it's, hindsight, the vision was always much clearer.
Yeah.
If I would have known that then, but just like you were saying, you don't need a ton of money. I mean, there are millions of different ways to climb that mountain. I mean, there are endless possibilities.
Yes. And like you were saying too, you knew that, and I love at your age how you realize, where do I want to be in 5-10 years from now? What's the kind of person I want to look like? What's my family situation look like? What kind of a house am I going to live in? And then you go and you unpack it and you reverse engineer the whole thing and say, well, what do I need to do today to get me closer to those goals? And, from a 21-year-old thinking like that as a 17-year-old, that says a lot about you, man. That's awesome that you're there. And, so it took me so I started my business when I was 26. So I was a little bit older, but it was kind of the same thing. I knew that, for me, having a job, I was trading my time for money. And I didn't like that aspect because I started a business for time freedom. Obviously I needed money, but instead of the financial freedom, I was looking for time freedom because I knew at some point I would have kids, and now we've got 3, and I wanted to be able to take them to the zoo on a Tuesday afternoon if I wanted to.
Right.
Now as we're growing, we're able to do those things, and it's provided a nice income for us, nice time freedom, and everything's working out. But whether it's like you said, whether it's power washing, carpet cleaning, any sort of business. And now you probably get this. Do you have a lot of people that will contact you and say, "Hey, Nevin, you should start this type of business"?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a lot of people who don't run businesses like to give me business ideas.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right.
There are also the same people telling me, well, I wish I could start my own business. I'm like,
yeah,
you just told me 3 or 4 things. Why don't you start it?
Yeah. That's how I realized. I realized that at a young age too. A lot of people that when I first started my business, I was like, it's important to realize that starting a business was not like my main objective. My main objective was self-development, like getting better mentally and physically, because I when I was younger, I wasn't like always the happiest person, but then I guess by the grace of God, if you want to call it that, I stumbled across some self-help videos on YouTube and just started learning like how to improve myself, because the only way my life is going to improve is if I improve.
Dude,
and then
that's awesome.
That led me to entrepreneurship. So I don't really like to focus. I like to make it known that that's my base. So like that the business stems from that, and it's not the other way around. So I think you make a good point with that it's more than just a business. Like, you want to have time to enjoy life. You want to have time to do things that you really want to do. And there's a good quote. I can't remember exactly who said it, but it basically goes like, every person lives 2 lives. You have your first life, and then you have the life that you live once you realize that you only have 1 life. And then once you make that realization, you start becoming much smarter with your time and the way you spend your time.
Yes, dude, that's good. And you probably even understand as a young kid, like some of the friends or people you hang out with, you have to almost disassociate.
Yes.
And I don't want to say disassociate because you're still friends with them, but there's a lot of what I call time sucks. Like there's people who just try to, and they're not doing it on purpose, not trying to be mean about it, but I'm like, I've got so much I need to do today. Like to sit here and have a text conversation with you is it's going to suck up my time when I'm busy, or having this conversation, or I can't go out to lunch with you because you're just going to suck up my time. And it's not anything negative, but it's never, I know that going into it, nothing productive is going to take place. It's not going to help me.
Right.
I said this the other day, all of my decisions now are based on either it's a hell yes, it's going to get me closer to my goals, or it's a hell no. It's one or the other. It can't be in the middle.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, when you're young and you have a lot of friends, most young people, they're not concerned with like the future too much. They're not concerned with their business. So I had a lot of my friends when I first started power washing that they kind of laughed at the idea. They didn't think it would work. But then, I mean, I had already been kind of cutting off my friend group because a lot of the people I was friends with, they just like mentally, they were not where I wanted to be. Like I look at these people and I just realized I don't want to be like these people. I don't like the way I feel when I'm with these people. Like they don't inspire me to do great things. They don't inspire me to want to be alive and go out and do things in life. They just want to sit around, play video games, talk poorly about other people, gossip, whatever. And I just realized at a young age I have to cut that off. I can't be friends with these people. And fortunately for the internet, I mean, we're so blessed to live in the time frame that we live in. I'm capable of making friends with entrepreneurs all around the world. And I've met a lot of people who are in the same business as me. And, I've had conversations with them now, talk to them about goals, ideas. So yeah, you make a good point. You have to cut a lot of people off. Because if they're not moving you closer towards your goal, they're going to rub off onto you, whether you like it or not. Subconsciously, the people you are around every single day, that programs your subconscious mind to behave in those ways. I mean, there's so many sayings for it. I think it's like birds of a feather flock together is one,
Yes.
You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Those are just a couple.
Yes.
But that really is true, so
and like you said, you may not go into it thinking, well, I can hang on to these guys and it'll be okay. Like it won't happen. But like you said, subconsciously that stuff rubs off on you. And, it's so cool that you realize this at such a young age, because I was a lot older before, my real transformation. So like you, I got into self-help books, and I was not just like self-help books, but I was always into entrepreneurship. I wanted more out of life. And I was reading all these things, but I could not bring myself from breaking away from that group of friends. For a long time, I was stuck. And so up until I was 35, 34, I was living that. And so when I started making these changes a couple of years ago, then I realized what, almost like you said about living 2 lives. Like for me, I was living 2 lives. I was living a life that was like what people thought they saw. But then there was another life where I was, doing things. I was conforming to the ways of the world, the way I like to call it, and I was just being a dude, if you will, or being a guy. And I got to where I was like, I'm living these 2 lives. Like if I have to lie to my wife about stuff, like this isn't the life I want to live. And so then I realized, I've got 1 life to live. And since I've started doing that, dude, it's incredible how my life has changed in 2 years just by making simple choices, making the better choice when I have the opportunity. Because that's the thing. We all got 2 choices, yes or no, right or wrong, make the right choice and your life can be better, because things are going to be hard regardless. I had somebody tell me the day, like, staying married is hard. Getting divorced is hard. Which one are you going to choose? Being fit is hard. Being fat is hard. Which one are you going to choose? Life's all about choices. We have got to determine what do we want. And like you said, figuring out what you want in life and then reverse engineering it and going back and figuring out a plan. Dude, it makes sense.
Yeah. The only problem with that for a lot of people is like that initial idea, like that. And I think this is why a lot of people live life unhappy, is that they don't even get that initial idea. Like you have to have that initial spark of that your life can be better, or that, you can make those decisions. Like you have to have that spark initially, and then it has to inspire you deep enough to where you keep moving closer towards it, because you're not going to automatically be like the best entrepreneur like Elon Musk, but you can progressively get closer every single day by conforming your habits, whether it be reading every morning or meditating or, educating yourself, doing diligent work. I think that's only really the only way you're really going to do that.
Dude, that's so good. It's so true. And now, have you read that book, Atomic Habits?
I do. Yeah, I have that book. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that one. Have you read The Slight Edge?
I may have seen an online article or something. I don't think I've read that book though.
those two kind of go hand in hand. And the slight edge, it takes a little bit different perspective, but it's literally like, where do you gain that slightest edge? And it's from doing it. So it's Jeff Olson, but it's by doing those little things that nobody's ever going to see, and doing them consistently. Because like you said, we all want to go to the gym and get a 6-pack of abs, but we're not going to go for a week and get that. You have to put in the time. Just keep showing up, consistency, and be intentional with the choices that you're making. And once we as entrepreneurs, even just men in general, but and you make a fair point that some people never even grasp the idea that they can do better.
Right.
And for me too, whenever I think about this, it's probably over the summer I did a little on my Facebook page. I did just a 6-day productivity challenge. And I opened it up to anybody that wanted to do it. And the person that won, and I gave away the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
I was unaware that this was even a thing, that like I could become a better person. She's like, I thought my life was fine.
Right.
But to know that I can have more, like, this is pretty cool. I'm like, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, like you said, literally, whatever you want in life, you can accomplish it. You may not get it tomorrow, it may take time, but the thing is, time's going to go by regardless.
Yep. Yeah, the time's going to pass one way or another, whether you want it to or not. Yeah. So you might as well dedicate that time to something. Exactly.
Yeah, figure out what you want, because it's going to be hard. Life's going to be hard regardless. If you're getting fat or you're getting fit,
right?
Same deal. And so whenever you started this power washing group, what was your main intention for it? Because and I ask this because, and it could be any service thing, but for you as a 21-year-old kid to start your own power washing group, I was like, why would this guy do that, knowing that there's already 100 power washing groups out there, thousands probably.
Oh yeah, there probably are thousands. Well, really, I mean, the main reason why I started Power Wash Bros is because, well, I mean, there are so many reasons, but I'm in a bunch of groups, and I'm also big on social media. I think social media is an amazing tool. And I'm in a bunch of groups, but the problem with a bunch of these groups, as I was looking through it, a lot of groups have old heads, as I call them. They're basically just old guys who've been in the industry for 25, 30 years. That are just really negative. They talk down to people who are asking new questions. And the reality is there's a lot of new people joining these groups every day. So the soft washing industry, the soft washing market is a booming market, and it's going to continue to boom. When you just look at it, mold comes back, mold, algae, it's going to come back on exterior buildings every 1 to 2 years. If you clean it once, it's going to come back. And that creates a ground for repeatable business, customers that you can repeat. And as more and more people learn about it, more and more people are going to request it, and it's going to continue to grow. So there's new people starting new businesses that are joining these groups, and they're asking questions inside of these groups, and they're being made fun of because they're very low-level, entry-level questions. And it creates a very hostile environment. And so I decided, I can create a group, and by having like a democratic system with people at the top who with the number one objective is education and value. That's our number one objective. If I provide as much value to the people in this group as I possibly can, that's the only way I can separate the group. First of all, I can make the group significantly better, especially for newer guys, because by doing that, by providing ridiculous amounts of value, they're going to want to spend more time in the group. As they spend more time in the group, they like more posts. And as the engagement rate on your posts go up, it gets shown to more people, so your exposure increases. So this goes back to, you provide free value, you get free value. You provide as much value as you can, real value, not value in the sense where I'm going to do, I'll have a quick call with you to sell you my products, and I'll have a consultation, like not that kind of value, but like create advertisements that they can use, free promo videos they can use, free before and after pictures they can use, free resources that they can use that are actually, in their eyes, and that's important, perspective, because in my eyes, I might give something that seems valuable to me, but they don't think it's valuable. It doesn't matter to them. So trying to create value from their eyes. And I had a little bit of a benefit to that because I was in their shoes starting a business. So I was thinking, what would I want? Like, what value would I think? So I just provide that value. It gets shown to more people. The group grows. And I didn't expect it to grow this big. And it's not like that big yet, but I didn't expect it to be at the size it's at right now.
Yeah.
But then also, I don't know if you know this, but I also build websites, and I do SEO. And that's really my that was my first business, actually, my marketing company, before I even started power washing, or actually it was like my third business. But it never made money up until about a year ago is when it started seeing some success. But I have that business. So I build websites for a lot of those guys as well. And it's like kind of like an entry point into a funnel. So it's like a marketing channel for my business, but it's also real value. So I think it's a win-win.
That's awesome. That's
And
so cool.
the book I'm reading right now is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He has
Yes.
a message in there that says, think in terms of win-win. So I think it's a win for the people that are in the group, and it's also a win for me as it grows my exposure, and increases my marketing business.
For sure. And, you know, so as like everything you're saying is just, it's beautiful. I mean, from a 21-year-old kid to be thinking like this is awesome. You know, it makes me think too, like, where you're at now, like you're going to evolve into so much more than, you know, a guy owning a power washing business. You know, this is just a stepping off point basically, or, you know, I don't want to say means to an end, because people do make tons and tons of money in power washing business or any service oriented business. But
Right.
like you said, you know, you're gaining exposure to other things you're going to be able to do in life. And, dude, you're on top of things, and it's awesome to see that. And like you said, you know, making it a win-win. And I think even once I got a little bit older, even with my friendships now with people, like, not that it needs to be value based, but I want to see, hey, where can I bring value toward this relationship? Because I know that this guy that I'm reaching out to, I know he's going to bring value, so I want to make sure I can bring value to him.
Right.
And it's, you know, I think same thing with our relationships as we grow older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
And, you know, and for anybody that is, you know, if looking into entrepreneurship, one of the things I had to take a hard look at in my life was really understanding my priorities, because for a long time I didn't have my priorities straight. And so once I listed my priorities out, you know, with it being my spirituality, my wife, my children, my health and fitness, business came fifth on the list. And, you know, ever since that took place, business has boomed. We've made more money, and I find myself working a little bit less, but I think it's too because I had my priorities where they needed to be instead of the opposite way. Except for a while, I kind of chased the money, and that didn't get me where I wanted to go.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. I totally agree. I think the foundation is your mind, you know, your mental framework, the way you think, your values. That's where it starts. And if you don't have that in line, then, I mean, if you just start a business, you know, with an employee mindset or with a negative mindset, or like, you know, if you're the type of guy who, like, if you make a mistake on a customer's property and you're automatically blaming the customer or getting mad, then you're not going to have a successful business. Like, you're building it on sand, you know, instead of stone. And I mean, you might see some initial success, but you're going to always struggle until you have a good foundation.
You're right. Those types of things where you're doing it to get that quick cash, they never, like you said, you know, in this business, there's a lot of repeat business. You know, if you get into the commercial side stuff, there's stuff you're doing on a weekly basis that you only have to sell at one time.
Right.
You know, and it can ramp up. But dude, you make some good points, and I hope that if there's anybody in this group that's looking for a website being built or has any, you know, questions for Nevin, dude, reach out to him. I know. Have you joined the group, Structure U?
I was going to ask you about that. Let me check here. Which group is it? Is it called Legacy Entrepreneurs?
No. Don't be promoting everybody else out there. It's just called Structure U.
No, here, let me check. What's it called?
Structure U.
Structure U.
Yeah.
I think, let me see here. Yeah, I am in the group.
Are you? Yeah, well, you see a lot of this stuff in there, huh? Just joking.
No, the way I'm in a bunch of groups, I don't know if this happens to you, but throughout the day, man, I get like a bunch of people every single day inviting me to like a new group that pops up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure you probably see the same thing. Sometimes, like, it's weird. Sometimes I'll accept them. Sometimes I won't. It doesn't. I don't even really look through a lot of them. But I'm gonna start looking through this one here and checking this one out.
You know, and part of the thing too, like we were talking about with time sucks and using your time wisely. So I actually went back, and you know, I'm a huge believer in social media. I think that it's got great benefits. But also, I know in my life, like if I'm bored, I just grab my phone. I heard the other day that the average person will grab their phone to look at it between 200 and 500 times a day.
Oh yeah.
I took all social media off my phone unless I'm going to use it for like through the a Chrome app or Safari, whatever it is, like that's when I'll search Facebook through there. But dude, my social media time has, oh my gosh, I'm probably using like 25% of what I used to. Just because I took it on, and I'm like, I've got so much stuff that I want to accomplish during the day. For that to be sucking my time, like I can't have that.
Yeah, same here.
So once I got rid of that, and I think that too, like, and I want other guys to know, like, even though I'm part of these groups, I don't comment or I'm not part of them. Like, I'm kind of just I'm not a consumer, I guess, of the social media. I try to limit myself, and that's not that I don't like other people or want to like it, but I'm not seeing a lot.
No, I can see it from that perspective. I mean, when I use Facebook, I pretty much, sometimes I will check other groups, like, if it's late at night and I'm scrolling through my phone, but most of the time, I really only on Power Wash Bros, just trying to put out content in that group for that people will like. So that's the only reason why I don't like check out other groups very much or anything, just because I'm so focused on just trying to build up Power Wash Bros. Even though I know there's some great groups out there. Like
now you have to end it with what we started this conversation with. When I brought up the help enough people get what you want, and you talked about bringing value, or what was it you said? It was the Earl Nightingale stuff you were talking about.
Yeah, what were you saying? The more value you provide to people, the more value you get back.
Yes.
Yeah, basically you get paid in equal proportion to the value that you provide.
Yes, and that's so true. And I don't, how you run your business, I have no idea, but I understood too. Like, once in any of these service-oriented businesses is just customer service. It's just about taking care of the customer. So you add value to that customer. I had an old guy once tell me, he's like, it's the 80-20 rule. You get paid 80% of 20% of your customers, or and that's the way he framed it, and it made a lot of sense to me. He's like, I know that if I take care of these 20% of my customers, all my bills are always going to be paid.
Right.
But that's interesting to think about. And if I step back and look at it, it's probably the same deal. Once we take care of these certain customers,
right. No, I totally agree. I mean, that's like a Pareto distribution that Tim Ferriss talks about.
Yes.
Like 20% of your clients will generate 80% of your revenue. So if you just focus your attention on providing the best value to your best customers, that'll save you a ton of time and headaches working with, customers that you probably don't want to work with just because they're headache or, this and that.
Exactly. Yep. And that's cool too about being entrepreneurs, that we can say no, and I never used to say no at all until these last 2 years. I started saying no. And then I kind of felt a little bit of freedom. Like, I don't have to do those things if I don't want to. Like, we used to wash windows, but I hated washing windows. I didn't, we even had the purified water system. And I was like, I'm paranoid that there's gonna be water spots. So I just stopped doing it.
Right.
And it feels nice to say no. But, I know that you're busy, Nevin, so I don't want to steal much more of your time. So if you guys want to reach out to Nevin, join his site. If you ever need any website or some fun ClickFunnels, stuff like that done, dude, this is your guy. Now he's part of the group. So reach out to him and ask any questions you guys might have.